Alright, hello once again. This is Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College. And as part of the Rankin Technical College AWD, or Application and Website Development program, and in particular the AWD 1111.NET Framework with Web Databases class, I've been creating a series of video presentations based on the book we will use for the AWD 1111 class for the fall 2019 semester. As you can see on the screen, the book is Pro ASP.NET MVC 5, an A-Press text by Adam Freeman. I'm working my way through Chapter 24, and I realized that I forgot to add, where is it? On page 689, part of my problem, or one of my many problems, or however you'd like to say this, is that sometimes in my quest or my zest to get things done, I skip over things. I'm sure that when I go back and run these programs with the class and take my time more, probably some of the mistakes I made will not be made at that time. All right, but I need an address summary.cs file in my models folder. I don't have that. That's why I'm getting all the errors. So, models folder, right mouse click on models, add, class, address summary.cs, get rid of what's in there, replace it with this, boom, these errors should now go away, and they do. Alright, so that was on me. Just a little quick note for you. You know, I don't like this. You can undock this and move it around. If this ever happens, I just want it back down where it was. You go to Tools, Customize, nope, Tools Options. Try it again. Tools Options. No, that isn't right either. Let's pretend I just started. You go to Tools, Import and Export Settings. That's it. Reset all settings. All right, go to Next. I don't want to save the one I'm working on, so no, just reset my settings. Click Next again. It is Visual C#. Click Finish, and watch where this thing goes in just a second. Click Close. Boom. Now everything's back to the way it was. All right. Now that I've fixed that on 689 and 690, now on 691, I am going to try to run this. So I'm going to File, Save All, run the program. And what should happen when I come up into here and I go into Home, Create Person, which allows me to create a new person. We'll put in here, again, we'll put 6. Let's put me in. Jeff Scott, I'll be an admin. City, I live in Lake St. Louis. Country, United States. Now watch what happens when I click Submit. Boom, I get to the address summary, which gives just my city of residence and my country. That's what we wanted to have happen. That's great. All right, bottom of page 691. What the heck is happening there? But hopefully this is all working okay. All right, you just saw that. Selectively binding properties. Imagine that the country property of the address summary is especially sensitive, and that I don't want the user to be able to specify values for it. The first thing I can do to prevent the user from seeing the property, or even prevent the property from being included in the HTML sent to the browser, all right, is I can do stuff using the attributes shown in Chapter 22 to make it read-only or not even viewable, or simply by not adding editors for that property to the view. However, the author says a nefarious user could simply edit the form sent to the server when submitting the form data and pick a value for the country that suits them. What I really want to do is tell the model binder not to bind a value to the country property from the request, which I can do by using the bind attribute on the action parameter. In listing 2419, which is on the next page, it says you can see how I've used an attribute to prevent this from happening. All right, so I can go in here if I want to, and where I've got this in display summary, I can say exclude. Well, let's just I don't know why that wouldn't work, but it isn't. All right, so we can go into our home controller. And where we put this, let's just move this onto its own line. How about that? All right, I'm going to put a comma here, space, exclude equal country. All right, address summary. That's probably broken up a little bit too big, but you hopefully get the idea. So that's what's shown on 692. Now this exclude property of the bind attribute allows you to exclude properties from the model binding process. So it says we can see the effect by navigating to the create person, entering some data, submitting the form. And we'll see there's no data displayed for the country property. Always good to check this when we're told that, just to double check and make sure everything's looking and working the way it should. Home, create person. All right, we will come in here again. Yeah, I'll just put it what I had before. That's all my stuff, and it'll be 33. Submit. Okay, no country shown. When the bind attribute is applied to an action method parameter, it only affects instances of that class that are bound for the action method. All other actions will continue to try and bind all the properties defined by the parameter type. If you want to create a more widespread effect, you can apply the bind attribute to the model class itself. So in our address summary class, our address summary.cs, we could have come in here and we could have, before the city right here, we could have come in and said bind include equals city. All right. We need to, we're going to do this. Just to show you, if you don't remember the other way, I can highlight this, click on the down arrow. Well, it says install that, but I guess I don't want to do that. I want to do it using system.web.mvc. Okay. Still doesn't like something in here. Doesn't like my bind. Public class. I've got to do this before the class. Okay. Right there. There we go. No error, no nothing. All right. When the bind attribute is applied to the model class and to the action method parameter, a property will be included in the bind process only if neither excludes it. Okay. All right. So that's simple binding. Let's jump up to the bottom of page 692, and we will talk about binding to arrays and collections. The default model binder includes some nice support for binding request data to arrays and collections. That'll be demonstrated next. For arrays, one elegant feature of the default model binder is how it supports action method parameters that are arrays. To demonstrate this, we've added a new method to the home controller called names. So we'll put this right on the bottom of our home controller. There it is. The syntax, the author says, may look a bit nasty, but the effect is useful. When populating the properties of the address summary object, the model binder will look for the home address city and the home address country. Oh, I'm sorry, I jumped to the wrong part here. Oh, okay. All right. So let me jump back. I apologize. I am on 693. The problem is I'm going backwards in my book instead of going forwards. All right. The names action method, as it says, takes a string array as its parameter. It's called names. The model binder will look for any item that's called names and create an array that contains those values. All right. So we need to create a names.cshtml file, and the code is shown for that on the bottom of page 693. All right, so let's come in here, jump down to here, add a names, a view called names.cshtml. Get rid of the code that's in there, replace it with this code. All right, that's what's shown on 693. The view that's here displays different content based on the number of items that are in the model. If there are no items, it'll display a form that contains 3 identical input elements. When we submit the form, the default model binder will see that the action method requires a string array and look for data items. All right. So let's save this. Run the program once again. All right, you can see what's here. Come over to home names. Okay, there's a list of names. Let's put in my daughters. Taylor, Kenzie, and Chloe. Submit. All right, there's my names. I can go back and I can add more names. Me, my wife, our dog, which, believe it or not, is named Olive. Okay, and we could keep doing this. All right. The next thing that's shown in there, in the text here on the bottom of page 694, is binding to collections. It isn't just arrays that we can bind to. We can also use the .NET collection classes. In listing 2423 on the bottom of page 694 and going on to page 695, says you can see how we've changed the type of the names action method. All right, so we want to go back to the home controller, and when we do that, we want to make sure that we put a using statement in here, or add a using statement for using system.collections.generic. And then we will jump back into our names. And this is what it looked like. I'm going to grab it. I'm going to copy it to the clipboard. I'm going to paste it in, which is going to give me an error, but I'm going to highlight this. And well, what I want to do is comment all of it out. but it's not allowing me over here. And remove buttons. Okay, do it like this then. I don't know why I would do that, but alright, now we're going to come in here, public action result names, but we're going to put in here iList. So we're going to have a list of strings that's called names. Alright, and this will have to change to new list of strings, and since we are creating a new list, we've got to give it parens. Alright, but it pretty much works the same way. Okay, so file save all. Let's go into our names.cs HTML file. First I'm going to close a couple things here because I got a lot of stuff open. There's our names. And in here, the first thing we want, instead of a model of string, let's go in and comment that out. You know that we use here an @ sign with an asterisk. Alright, so that's now commented out. And we want to change that to @model string, I'm sorry, iList string. Okay, that's the first thing. And now we don't want to say if length equals 0 because it's a list, if count equals 0. I think that's all we have to change in here. So the functionality is unchanged, but now we're able to go and walk through, alright, we're able to go in and walk through a list. So I'm going to again do the same thing I did before. Copy that, come in here and put in a comment, paste that back in, and like that. Alright, so let's try it again. Let's do a file and we'll save all. Let's run it again. Well, I'm already at 18 minutes, but let's stop it right there because I'm at 18 minutes.